What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Peter Vrionis, back with another episode of the Press Box Hat Trick. And today I'm joined by news editor of the Raptors Insider, as well as scout and writer for On Point Basketball, Olivier Neven. Thanks for being here, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm happy to be back. Seems like you're doing a really good job with the pod, so happy to be here as a guest.
Hey, I had to continue that legacy, that sports editor legacy. So
Yes,
today
sir.
we're going to discuss the NBA Finals and a little bit of Canadian hoops, sadly. But the NBA playoffs have seen many stars take a leap to superstardom this year. If you bet on a finals matchup between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns before the regular season started, you'd be sitting on a pile of cash right now. Am I wrong?
For sure. You'd be a rich, rich man. Be up there with Jeff Bezos and them.
But on that note, though, is this like one of the worst finals matchups in recent memory? Or is it nice to see some fresh faces playing for the Larry O'Brien trophy?
I'm not crazy about this narrative about like this being a bad finals or anytime there's a lack of superstars or the biggest player, biggest names in the game that it means it's a bad finals. Like I don't understand that, and we keep seeing that with the NBA, and I don't believe in it because what makes a good NBA finals is maybe the storylines going into it, how the games end up playing out, like all the drama around it. You can have a finals with like maybe few stars, but the games could still be amazing. So I don't buy this narrative. Plus, like I think it's really exciting. You have Chris Paul and Giannis going, two of the biggest names in the game, going for their first rings. So how can it not be exciting? How can you not look forward to it? It's still one of the best players in the league, one of the faces of the league. And then, one of the guys who's been around for so long that's a fan favorite who's never really gotten this chance. So how can you not like it? I don't buy it for a second.
Look, I'm going to go on the other side of the spectrum here. I'm going to say that it is going to be a bit of a boring finals. Look, if you're a basketball fan, which I am, I love watching basketball. You want to see the stars play. As much as we shit on the Nets, as much as we shit on LeBron, we wanted to see Kevin Durant and LeBron go toe-to-toe in the finals. For who knows, it could have been the last time. LeBron's 36.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant's coming off an Achilles injury, even though he looks better than ever. But you want to see the stars battle it out in the finals. And I've always been that type of guy. But it is nice to see Giannis be in the finals for the first time. He's remained loyal with the Milwaukee Bucks. Devin Booker finally got the point guard that he needed. And hey, Chris Paul is literally the best pure point guard that I've ever seen in my life. So to see him finally get the chance to play in the finals, look, it doesn't matter that he had to play injured teams and guys missed time. Everybody had the same circumstances, okay? So
Yeah.
I don't like saying that, oh, he won because of injuries. No, they earned this finals berth, and so did the Milwaukee Bucks. And hey, they're going to battle it out. Like, if I'm going to be watching regardless, so it's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
good finals. And I think it should be all right. Not what I was hoping for, but it'll be good.
Yeah, but then you don't want a league that curates only to its biggest stars, and like, what's the point of having 30 teams if you're only going to have the same players in the final every time? Like, there's no point. This
That's true.
finals, shows that the parity in the league works, although it's kind of screwed up and it's all over the place in the NBA, but still, like, there still is parity, and it does work. We've seen a couple of different champions in the last few years. So, this is a good thing for basketball. It might not be attractive to people who watch just for the big names or are fans of certain players, but if you enjoy basketball, these are two good teams. One team that, was a bit of a surprise coming into the season and now surprised to have been here, but they definitely deserve it. And they're fun to watch because they're well coached and they have some fun pieces. So I don't know. I think this is exciting.
Well, the Suns are well coached. I'm not
Right.
sold.
That's who I was talking
Yeah.
about. That's who I was referring
I'm
to.
not going to give Mike Budenholzer any credit for that.
Yeah,
Who I
none
will give
whatsoever.
credit to, though, is your boy, Drew Holiday. I think he's the main reason why the Bucks went from a perennial second round exit to a finals team right now. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if I would put, I love Drew Holiday obviously, but I don't know if I would put that all on him or a majority of it on him. I think they have gotten a bit lucky in this postseason. The like we've talked about, like Coach Bud like has not been good throughout the year, but especially in the playoffs. And if the Nets were healthy, I think they would have killed them, but they weren't. And Durant had to do it all by himself, and he almost did. So I think Drew has defensively he never takes a playoff, right? He never takes a possession off, but offensively he's disappeared a lot, throughout this run. And he's maybe not known for sure for his offense because he's one of the premier perimeter defenders in the league, but he can still score. And I mean, he's shown it sometimes in flashes in this postseason, but not consistently enough. Um, he's a good, respectable shooter from three, and he's had games where he just can't hit anything. So I think he's obviously a big reason they've gotten this far. He's done really well defensively. You can't knock that. And he was a good addition as maybe like this third piece on this team. But I think they've gotten a bit lucky too. And Giannis has been on a different level in this postseason run that, and not that not many people are talking about. Obviously, the NBA is huge. Tons of people are talking about it, but it's kind of going undercover, under the radar, because it's been such a weird postseason. I think Drew's been a big part, but maybe doesn't deserve all the credit just yet.
Well, look,
I think he's going to have a very, very strong finals. Guarding CP3 and Booker, whoever he gets put on, he'll be switching between the two. And he's really going to have to shine in the finals.
Well, look, I'm not going to give him all the credit because obviously Giannis is playing like the MVP he's been 2 out of the last 3 years. Middleton has had some good games, some not so good games. But Drew Holiday, if you were to swap him and Eric Bledsoe right now, the Bucks would not be playing against the Phoenix Suns tonight.
Absolutely,
and
for sure.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
Definitely.
Drew Holiday makes such a big impact that even when he does have an off shooting night, like you said, he doesn't take defensive plays off. He's fantastic on that side of the ball, and he did a great job against the Nets. He did all he could, and he is a big reason why they're playing for the Larry O.B.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, yeah, the comparison with Bledsoe is like,
it's night and day.
As you said, it's for sure. I mean, Bledsoe was just terrible in the playoffs, and Drew is a much, much better all around. That was a great trade that they pulled off. They gave up a lot for him, but it's paying off. And if they win a championship, they don't care, right? They don't care how much it was.
Yeah. So game 1 is slated for tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Giannis Antetokounmpo is doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
If it was up to him, he'd be in the lineup. He'd be playing, no questions about it. But we've seen stars rush back from injury, and that's never a good thing. So what do you think the best course of action is for tonight regarding Giannis? And can the Suns take control of the series after game 1?
I think the best course of action is maybe to have Giannis sit for game 1.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, the Suns are a really good team regardless. Even if Giannis were in, it would be, I think, a close matchup. Obviously, with Giannis out, you probably have to tip the Suns to win a game or even a series if he never ends up playing. But I think it's safer to probably not play him tonight. See, what it's about, what Phoenix is about, what they're bringing, what your other guys have. If Middleton has it, we've seen him, without Giannis sometimes go off and like he can put up crazy scoring numbers. Maybe Drew can get hot. PJ Tucker can make like 1-3 from the corner. It can be really important. Brook Lopez sometimes turns into, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I would maybe sit him for this one game, give him as much time, as he can have to rest, because obviously there's no damage to his knee, but it's probably swollen and all kinds of stuff going on. It's probably sore. It's tender. He's an athletic freak. He relies on athleticism. If he plays on a hyperextended knee that's not, fully fit, he's going to be pulling up from 3 or the mid range a lot more. And that's exactly what Phoenix wants. So if Coach Bud is smart, which, we've had to question a lot during this playoff run, I think they'd probably sit him, give him as much time as he needs to get healthy.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely don't want to rush back your star player. But on that note, I think at the same time, is this the title window? Like, is this it for the Milwaukee Bucks, or can they be back in years to come? Like, at the same time, you don't want to rush Giannis, but this could be your only chance.
Hmm. It might be, but you're betting on this guy. He's one of the most unique players we've seen in the NBA ever.
Right.
Um, Still young enough, where he has a lot of time ahead of him. Hasn't really, been injured much or any bad injuries, that he's had to take a lot of time off for and stuff like that. So, you could bet on him being contending for this title and contending in the East for a long time, right? And obviously you don't want to skip any chance you get of playing for the title. And like, I think even if he sits out tonight, he has to play game 2. Obviously we'll see how it goes. If he sits, who wins, what happens, but he will be a factor in this series. It's too bad that he won't be fully healthy for it, but he's gonna play for sure. They'd be out of their minds if they don't play him. It's not like you said, he doesn't have any structural damage. He can't really worsen it. It could just be like he can just worsen the pain, the feeling of it
Uncomfortable.
to the point where he's
Yeah.
just so uncomfortable he can't play. But
Right.
it's not like Embiid, who was playing on a torn meniscus, who can, it can get even worse. Who knows, right?
Hmm.
So he's going to play. He's going to be a factor in the series. They won't take this shot likely, because you never know when you get it again. Because we think there probably will be a coaching change in the offseason. Um, so I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in this position again down in the years. But obviously, we want to focus on right now. He will play, whether that's tonight or the next game. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, look, the Suns are at home. They have home court advantage. But in these playoffs, it looks like that hasn't meant much. I don't know if it'll be a massive factor. Both teams have pretty good fan bases, small market teams, but their fans could get pretty rowdy. Do you think it'll play a factor in these finals?
I think this could go one of two ways. Number one is, you have some shooters on the Bucks, right? And like we said, like Middleton, Drew, even Brook Lopez, like they can get hot from deep and like make shots. And there's nothing that silences a crowd more than a big 3-pointer, right? So if they get hot, if they make a lot of threes, that can silence a crowd pretty quick if they can extend the big lead. The other way this can possibly go is, we've seen Coach Bud and his play calling and, his systems, the changes he makes on the fly, have really not been impressive this playoffs. And obviously playing, away from home, it's a high pressure environment, a lot of nerves, and that could even, make it worse for him and make him, screw up his decision making and stuff even more than we've seen, right? So I think it could go one of two ways. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the Bucks steal one just because some of their players got hot and silenced the crowd. Or it could be in their favor. The Suns barn has been one of the best ones in the playoffs so far this year. It's been really fun to see fans there, and obviously the Suns could feed off that with Chris Paul leading them. You know that mentally they're going to be there. He's not going to let them have any lapses in concentration or morale. So I know it could go a couple of different ways.
Yeah, for sure. Role players typically play better at home, but these playoffs have seen a lot of new things happen. So you never know what to expect anymore. You
Either
never
way,
know.
you can guarantee that Jay Crowder makes 8 threes at home, and then has 0 points when they play at the Fiserv Forum in
Yeah, yeah,
Milwaukee.
yeah. Yep, that's one thing you could count on for sure. Now
Yeah.
I want to ask you, who wins the finals in how many games, and who wins finals MVP?
Oof, I don't know. This is a tough one. I am inclined to say I think Phoenix in 6,
Wow.
and I think they give the Finals MVP to Chris Paul. I think he's gonna have to be pivotal if they're gonna win this. You could even see Booker and Ayton are obviously gonna be big in this series, but I think Chris Paul, he's gonna be so hungry. He's gonna play his heart out, and I think he would be deserving of it if the Suns were to win. And I think the Suns are gonna win. I
Okay.
just don't trust Milwaukee.
I don't trust Phoenix really, even though they've
Hmm.
played well. Devin Booker's proved that he can do it in the playoffs. I don't know. They're too much of a new team for me. You know, the Bucks have been close. They've been
Hmm.
close in the past years, and they've made a couple of new additions that have really helped their team, like Drew Holiday, Bryn Forbes. A couple of those guys have really elevated them to a championship level. So I say Milwaukee in 6. Giannis comes back in game 2, and he wins Finals MVP.
Hmm. All right. I mean that's fair too. Milwaukee has a very short bench. You know, they have a very, very tight rotation too. They
Yeah.
can rely on only a few people. DiVincenzo has been injured all playoffs. Um, they're so thin. So I don't know. I think the Suns have a lot more guys that they can rely on. A lot more guys they trust, and a lot more versatility. I find. I don't know. The best player in the series is Giannis. No, hands
By
down,
far. Like
obviously.
like he's there,
But
and
yeah,
Book is there.
but Book, Aiton, CP3, I think are the next guys, right?
They're
Middleton
very
comes
good.
after them, even though Middleton has been pretty good. But those three guys, these playoffs have been insane, instrumental. So if Giannis has to take them on his own, even if it's for like 2-3 games, like it's going to be a lot to handle.
Well, look, Giannis has some star power. Like Middleton is liable to go off for 40, and then he'll give you 8
Or
next game, you
nothing.
know,
Yeah.
but that's a bit of a wild card there. Big shouts
Hmm.
to DeAndre Ayton, by the way. He's been killing in these playoffs. Doesn't
Crazy.
get he'll never get the credit he deserves just because he was picked ahead of Luka Doncic. But he's
Right.
going to be a great center for a long
That's always
time.
going to hang over him, but I think
Yeah,
he's kind of getting the recognition, some of it now, and if he can build off of this, then he could be respectable because he's living up to the potential that people saw, um, at the draft and why he went so high. And he's got all kinds of tools, and obviously Chris Paul, like he's mentioned, has been instrumental in him having this resurgence. And yeah, if he can continue like this, then the Suns can be a player in the West for a long time.
he'll be an
They're a young
all-star
core, so
for
for
years to
sure,
come. Yeah,
easily that he's got everything you want for a center, and he's been bringing it on defense too, which is,
yeah,
bring on defense, the offense will follow, even if it doesn't. At least you're making an impact.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to some Canadian hoops. I wanted to cover this just because I've been following the team for years now, ever since that meltdown in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and then Andrew Wiggins decided to take a break from the program for 5 years.
Yeah.
He made his return this year for the Olympic qualifying tournament,
Mm-hmm.
which Canada entered in as the heavy favorite, and they were also playing at home in Victoria, BC.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was in their favor. They had some fans in the building, maybe like 8% capacity, which is not much, but
Mm-hmm.
Navbatia was there. So that's kind of a big
Yeah,
deal.
that's all you need.
He was there. But they ended up losing in the semifinals to a Czech Republic team, despite having 8 NBA players on their roster.
Yeah, and Czech only had one.
That was, I don't know, like for me personally, I know the history of this program. All these international teams are used to playing with one another. You know, those
Mm-hmm.
guys commit every single summer to play for the program.
Yeah.
Canada, you can't just throw 8 NBA players that have never played together and expect them to do some damage because it's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me mention this. There's no defensive 3-second violation in FIBA competition.
Yeah.
So Czech Republic's big man was 7'1".
You just
He
planted in the
parked his
paint.
ass in the paint
Yeah.
for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't move. He
Mm-hmm.
did not move. And their backup did the same thing. Canada's tallest player was 6'10", Dwight Powell.
Yeah.
You know, it was a mismatch. Despite
Mm-hmm.
having the better wings, despite having more athleticism, why does Canada struggle to make it to the big stage, in your opinion?
I think it's just like, obviously, we're talking about NBA players. These are obviously some of the best players in the world playing against, obviously professional basketball players who are also very good, but play at a very different level.
Right.
I think the rules have one thing to do with it. The rules are called differently in FIBA. The NBA players are not used to them. The rules are there's so much gray area in the NBA rules to begin with. Having to get accustomed to a new set of rules in international play is a whole different beast on its own. Even in terms of coaching staff, you have Nick Nurse, who's an NBA coach, who's coached internationally before, but last few years been in the NBA, gotten used to NBA systems, NBA rules, all that stuff, and having to adapt maybe on the fly with a short amount of time, where they have like maybe a month or so of training camp, practicing whatever, but compared to, let's say, the Czech guys, Czech coaching staff who've been doing this for a long time, like it's obviously different. I feel like we're talking about the Raptors, but Canada has no big men, and Czech had 2 7-footers who were making their lives hell like all game.
Mm-hmm.
And Canada just didn't make shots. If they made their shots, then they would have won, but they didn't. Czech did, and yeah, obviously it's very frustrating. I'm relatively new to following Canada basketball, so I'm not as accustomed to this heartbreak, and still it sucks because like we're excited for this Olympic berth with all these players that like it's a better team. It's literally the second best team on paper in the world.
Yeah.
Only the Americans are better,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't even qualify. While you have like Iran qualifying, Slovenia just got in because of Doncic. Like, I don't really get the qualifying aspect of it. Don't we want to see the best countries there? But that's a different story. But the Canadians just didn't deserve it, so you can't
Well,
even
no,
make that.
you
You
got to
can't
earn
even
it.
make. You
You
got to
got to
earn
earn
it,
your spot.
and they didn't. So as frustrating as it is, like it's what happened. I'm surprised by how positive like a lot of people are being about it, and obviously it's fine. The team is still young. The core is a bunch of young guys. Some of the better players weren't even there. But the thing is, like, everyone's looking at it in a positive and like optimistic way. But what if the next qualifying tournament, some guys are injured again, some guys are in contract years, they don't want to play? Like, it's not going to be a guarantee that the roster will be any better, right? Like, we're like, oh, next time Shea will be there, next time so and so will be there. Well, maybe next time Barrett won't be there, maybe next time Dort will be injured. Like, we still won't have a 7-footer. Like,
Well, I don't know. I
the team on
think
paper is great, but when it's all there, which I don't think it'll ever be.
well, I think the reason why people are being so positive is just because of the fact that guys actually showed up and they
Right.
played hard. Look, against Czech Republic, they didn't make shots like you said, but that's their game plan. They got a ton of talented wings, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of good guards, and they got to make shots at whatever level of basketball you're playing in. If you don't make your shots, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter who
Right.
you play against. And
Right.
that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. But another positive that I took away from the tournament is Andrew Wiggins. He looked
Mm-hmm.
like a star. You know, he
Yeah.
he was carving every defense up. I wish he had the ball more down the stretch of the games, and that comes a bit with his mentality. He tends to fade away, and
Yeah.
I've
He
I've
defers.
always been an advocate of Wiggins. I love him, but man, the dude needs to command the ball, especially when he's the best player on the floor. But I
Yeah.
want to ask you, is he a valuable trade asset for the Golden State Warriors, who are welcoming back Klay Thompson this season?
Well, I think he didn't have much value at the start of the season. And then the way he played, I think he has risen in value, but still not as much as obviously the Warriors would want, or maybe he would want, because he has a big ass contract. And no matter how, like, he's been really good this year, but not good enough to deserve that money, right? So teams are obviously hesitant to pick that up in a trade. And obviously he's being linked now to the Raptors and a Siakam deal, a draft deal, which, a lot of people on the Raptors side don't want to happen. A lot of people on the Golden State side would love, because they've been looking at Siakam for a while. But yeah, Wiggins has been great, like offensively, defensively. He's been really bringing it this year, and it carried over into the FIBA tournament. And yeah, you would have liked to have seen him maybe take over a bit more, as the one of the most experienced like players on that team, but also one of the most experienced offensive players on that team. We're not trusting Corey Joseph to make shots down the stretch, so we're giving the ball to Wiggins, or we would have liked to. But I don't know. His value's still not where obviously the Warriors would want to be. So they still have to feel like they have to package him. Like I think the thing with Wiggins now, no matter how good he is that he's the kind of player you put into a deal because you have to make the money work, which is kind of what the deal is with if there would be a Siakam trade. Not so much to balance it out, which it would. Obviously, I wouldn't mind seeing Wiggins play for the Raptors because he still has a lot to bring, but it would be a money thing, right?
Yeah, well, if they give us Wiggins and a 7th overall pick for Siakam, I'm taking that.
Yeah, but I think it would be Wiggins, Wiseman, and 7, and even
Ooh,
14.
it's a lot.
But that's what's going. It is a lot, but people
It's a lot.
still aren't satisfied with that. I don't see why not. Um, I don't know. Like
Well,
people
look,
are like, oh, that would mean that the Raptors are going in full rebuild, but I don't necessarily think so
no,
because the league is getting younger and younger. Younger teams are competing now. We see it with the Suns. Like, would it make the Raptors that much worse? I don't think so. Plus,
look,
add the 4th pick to that, which is sure to be an NBA ready player. Like, I don't know, man. That's not a rebuild to me.
no, it's a
Like,
retool.
yeah. Plus, we're talking about Siakam was coming off shoulder surgery. We don't know how he's gonna look. I wrote an article about that. Check that out, guys. Um,
Quick
we don't
plug.
know how he's gonna look. I don't think it'll be that bad. It won't be that much of a difference, but we don't know. Last year was a little disappointing for him shooting wise. Like he didn't necessarily take a step forward, right?
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know.
he's
I would not be opposed to that trade. I see a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me saying that they would be. And the way I see it, I don't think so. I think it even extends the Raptors' window even more.
well. Look, Siakam's an all-star caliber player.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, he maybe was a step below that last year,
Yeah.
but he'll regain that form. Like I'm sure of it, especially if you add an NBA ready player to our starting lineup. You have a full season of Gary Trent Jr. if you re-sign him. All these guys, it'll help him out. There were so many factors playing in as to why he wasn't playing like the Siakam we know,
Mm-hmm.
but but that's okay. I think he'll regain that form. But Wiggins, Wiseman, and a 7th. I mean, look, for an all-star caliber player, that's what they command on the market. Look what Drew
That's
Holiday
pretty
got.
good. Yeah.
Look what the Bucks gave up to get Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
And this is a guy has he made an all-star team?
No.
But he's been a borderline all-star and
Right.
he makes them better.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll overpay to get better.
Right. Well, that's what the Warriors want to do now is they don't mind overpaying because their window is closing very fast. Clay's going to come back after 2 seasons of not playing.
Yeah.
Steph is, the core is all over 31. They can still, make the finals next year, right? Like with the team they have.
Mhm.
And adding Siakam to that would not guarantee it, but it would make them favorites, I think, right?
Really.
So in their eyes, I don't see why they wouldn't want to do that. Like I said, their team is getting older, and I know obviously for the Raptors, they're hesitant to do it, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not seeing it the same way that some people are seeing it. Some people that don't like that idea. I don't know. I don't
I
think I
like the
mind it.
trade. I like it.
Yeah, I don't think I mind it too much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. This was a ton of fun.
Yep.
Make sure to go check out Olivier's article. He plugged it.
Yeah,
Thanks
check
for
me out on the Raptors Insider.
let's
That's
get it.
where you
Raptors
see my
Insider.
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
we got a bunch of cool stuff there. All the Raptors content you can ask for.
That was all. It was awesome, dude. Thanks for
Yeah,
being
thanks for
here.
having me, man. This was
We'll do
great.
it again soon for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete.
Peace, man.